Back chat. Next on Crown Jewels. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to PLD Products Presents Crown Jewels. I'm your host, PLD, and it's been a few weeks. I do apologize. Life has been kind of kicking me in the backside. And trying to find time to squeeze these in, but it's been a little difficult. Can't guarantee it's going to be any better going forward for a little bit, but I'll always try to squeeze them in as I can. This is the podcast where I take you on a journey through the entirety of the Queen catalog, one by one, song by song, version by version. Listen to all the different versions, and we see which is our best version of every song, or the titular crown jewel. We also see if we would slide it into my top 10 Queen-related tracks of all time. And I'm going to be honest, I don't think this one's going to make it, but this is not a bad track at all. This week, Back Chat, written by John Deacon. Does feature Freddie Mercury on lead and backing vocals, features John Deacon on the bass and rhythm guitars, drum machine and synthesizer, Brian on rhythm guitar, Brian May on rhythm guitar and the guitar solo, and Roger Taylor on electronic drums. Let's give you some notes and quotes before we start breaking things down. This was issued as a single in the UK. It did hit number 40, so it did scrape into the top 40. It did not chart when released in the United States, Brazil, Canada, France, Germany, Guatemala, the Netherlands, Peru, South Africa, or Spain. But a top 40 hit is still a top 40 hit. This was played live throughout the 1980 tours, and then it was dropped like most of the Hot Space material. Reportedly, this song is the song that sparked the move towards what ended up being Hot Space's direction, that kind of funk rock kind of thing, more dancey stuff, which makes sense. John Deacon being probably the most, I don't want to say anti-rock, he's not anti-rock, but the most pure Motown type of song. Brian being the most heavy metal of the guys, Roger being a dance guy, but definitely more on the rock and roll dance side of things. Freddie being pretty much a little bit of everything, a little bit of the show tunes, but he also had that kind of hard rock edge to him at times as well. John was always kind of more of the purist of the group when it comes to doing stuff purely like a funk way or a soul way. So it makes sense that he would influence this. Surprisingly enough, though, he's not a big fan of Hot Space as well. He did not like how it turned out. Most of the band didn't. Brian has defended it in recent years, but I think at the end of the day, most of the band would say that it was not the greatest album by them. Definitely has been divisive amongst fans throughout the ages. All right, let's listen to these tracks now. We do have a couple versions to listen to. How we do it, I'm going to pause myself, or I'll have you pause me rather. You look in the show notes, there'll be a Google Doc, and you'll click on that link. On that link will be another set of links for YouTube versions of all the versions we're going to listen to today. We have the album version, we have the single mix, the extended mix, we have a demo mix, we have an alternative mix, and we have the officially released live version from On Fire at the Bowl from Milton Keynes. We're going to listen to all those versions today. So when I tell you to listen to them, we can come back for more. A few more notes though. The song was originally titled Woolly Hat. I'm not sure what that came from, where it came from. Might have been something that John called it off the cuff until lyrics came into play. That sometimes happens. I don't really know. We do have one quote from Brian May, which kind of explains what I was talking about initially. Brian said, "We would experiment with the rhythm and the bass and the drum track and get that sounding right, and then very cautiously piece the rest around it, which was an experimental way for us to do it." In that song, there wasn't going to be a guitar solo because John, who wrote the song, had gone perhaps more violently black than the rest of us. Black music at the time, as was what they were called, what it was called. We had lots of arguments about it, and what he was heading for in his tracks was a totally non-compromised situation, doing stuff as R&B artists would do it with no concessions to our methods at all. And I was trying to edge him back toward the central path and get a bit of heaviness into it and a bit of the anger of rock music. So one night I said I wanted to see what I could add to it. I felt the song as it stood wasn't aggressive enough. It's called Back Chat, and it's supposed to be about people arguing, and it should have some kind of guts to it. He agreed, and I went and I tried a few things. From Brian May from 1982. He did win the argument. There is a guitar solo in there, and I have to say, as you're about to hear, I think he's right. I think the guitar is actually kind of makes the song ultimately work, but you know, your miles may vary. Right now, I'm going to have you pause me. We'll go listen to the album version, come back, and we'll talk about it. There you have it. That is Back Chat. Let's get right into it. It's got a great beginning. I think it draws you right in. And then there's like a Grandmaster Flash like bass line that kind of gets you going there. It's like that first guitar pit. kind of soften the blow, kind of get it into it, and then boom, 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 boom. We got rhythmic electronic drumming starts pounding in there. Now, for me, I'm not a big fan of electronic drumming. Roger tried to do experiment a little bit with this, especially in the early '80s and throughout, as he was always wanting to do. It's not for me generally, but it does fit the song. I'll give it that. I do love how Freddie's vocals really make it work. He's got a lot of passion in his voice, a lot of passion, and that bass line really kind of pumps it up as well. It kind of has that nice dancey feel. I do like the electronic drum breakdown, I will say. It's a little maybe hypocritical of me considering how much I said I don't like electronic drums usually, but the breakdown that bum 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 actually kind of works with the echo sound it uses, the synth sound it uses, the kind of kind of a computerized sound it uses. It really does work for this song particularly. Not a fan in general, but hey, I'll admit when I do like some things more than others. Hey, it happens. I do also love the build to the guitar solo, and that's what actually, like I said before we listened to it, this is what really makes this track work for me. The song itself is fine. It's good. It's not a bad song. It's lyrically kind of cool. The rhythm's there. The drums are there. The bass is kind of cool. That Freddie's passion, but it's really Brian's guitar solo which gets to the heart of the song. That it really rips. It really kind of you feel that anger, that emotion, that power, and this angry like back and forth kind of fight you're having with a partner or whatever. I do think that Brian was absolutely right and John was wrong. John wrote the song, so I mean it's hard to say it's his. He's wrong when he wrote the song, but you know what? He did eventually allow Brian's guitar solo to work, so maybe he saw the light as well. I do think it does. It does make the song for me. So, what do you think? What do you think? Is this a good track for you? Do you like this one? Is it fun? Let's listen to the other ones and see if anything else hits you differently or maybe grabs you a little bit more. Go into that. Now I'm going to have you listen to two versions. In the list there, I have the single mix and the extended mix is what we would find on the singles. Single mix you can find on the 7-inch vinyl. It also was collected easily found on the Singles Collection Volume 2 and also on the 2011 Hot Space Deluxe CD that they released in Ireland. It was one of those bonus tracks they put on there. The extended remix is a little harder to find. I mean, it is on YouTube. Like I said, I gave you a link for that. It is found initially on the UK Backchat 12-inch vinyl and is also on the US Staying Power 12-inch vinyl. So that's a little harder to get nowadays, and as well as that goes, but it is on YouTube. So why don't you go listen to both of those versions and come back and I'll talk about it. And there you go. There's the single mix and the extended remix. The single remix cuts it down from 4 minutes and 33 seconds to about 4:12. The extended remix extends it out to a whopping 6:55. The single mix obviously doesn't cut out a whole lot. You're not losing a whole lot of time there. It's actually pretty close to the original. It does cut a few of the instrumental pieces down, joining the lyrical pieces a little closer. It does make for a little bit of a tighter mix. I could see where some people might actually see it as an improvement over the album mix. It kind of just cuts out any of the extraneous stuff and gets you right to the heart of the matter. But it is remixed pretty nicely. I think its song actually sounds a little bit better with the remix. I'm not sure why it sounds different from the album version, but it is a little bit. It feels a little tighter. It feels a little crisper in the single mix. I'm excited to see that. I was excited to see how well it sounded comparatively. But maybe your miles may vary on that. The extended remix again, we don't have much of a digital format. Nothing. It's all like from the vinyl and how it's been translated over the years. This is the first official extended 12-inch remix. There's a lot of extra drums and a lot of instrumental parts added to it. I do like the extra guitar bits at the end, post guitar solo. There's more extra Brian bits, especially towards the end. I do love that. That's probably the most important part of the mix for me. It doesn't actually feel too overwhelmingly long, as sometimes these 12-inch remixes can kind of go on forever and become just kind of repetitive and so on. This is okay. This is not a bad one for sure. It depends on if you like the song. If you like the song a lot, you might want to get more of it, so it might actually work. If you don't like the song, this is definitely isn't going to change your mind, as it definitely will drone on for you. But who knows? All right, next up, let's take a listen to the demos we have. One's an actual demo that was leaked at some point, and one is called the Alternative Mix, which was played at the convention, a convention demo, as I've been calling them. Again, I'll throw it out there. You've probably heard me say this 1,000 times. You've been following the podcast. The Queen convention, a lot of times you have Greg Brooks or someone come and visit, and they would play these tracks, usually with Greg Brooks over the top saying property of Queen Productions, so you don't can't leak it out as a track anywhere. It still gets out, still get to listen to it for right or wrong. Those arguments are out there. I understand both sides of the argument, but they're usually not great quality. It's somebody basically pressing record on a tape recorder, as it were. Nowadays, it'd be on their phone. I guess probably actually be better now, but these are back in the day when it was more of a tape recorder kind of thing situation. So take a listen to those and the demo and the alternative mix. Come back and we'll talk about both. All right, there you have it. Reportedly from the Musicland Studios in Munich. This is way earlier on the timeline, obviously, at this point. Based a little different. Freddie's got a very relaxed vocal. I kind of feel like this was definitely more of a tracking demo more than anything else, as in, like, let's just kind of get this down so it sounds like it's not Freddie really giving it its all. Just having fun with it. It's definitely like a kind of like a, well, try some things here and there, but not worry too much. Obviously, nowhere near a final vocal at all. I mean, the middle section is pretty non-existent outside of Freddie ad-libbing it just to kind of, I think, keep the pace and where they are, and they got some Germany synths in there as well. I got some fun Freddie and Brian ad-libs for sure. I do like it. It's very interesting for certain. Interesting for most see where the song came from and where we got to it. Again, for our way, for what we're doing here, trying to find the crown jewel version of the song, it's probably not going to be that. But again, this is where some of those interesting conversations can have, or interesting listens can have, if nothing else. It's definitely. I'm glad it's leaked out. It's always fascinating to hear certain parts, certain songs at earlier stages, see where they were and where they got to for certain. But probably not the best version of the track. Also, speaking of that convention demos, like I said, usually never going to be the best. If not for nothing else, we have no great quality version of them at this point. It's hard to tell because it's kind of a crappy version. It does seem that Brian's guitars, it seems like a closer to the end mix, just kind of different style of mix. Brian guitars seems to be up higher in the mix. Maybe John just kind of toned them down a little bit. It's kind of cool to hear, but not a whole lot different from what we've heard before. Just a little extra guitar kick. But again, the sound quality prevents from any really in-depth listening as far as comparing it to what we did get and or what we did have leak in any more higher quality songs. So, but your miles may vary. Maybe you like those better. Maybe you prefer the earlier demo, which does actually feel like it has more actual instrumentation in it, less eventually. But hey, I don't know, man. What do you think? All right, let's one more little listen to. I can listen to a bunch of the Hot Space tour if I wanted to, but generally, as I've been doing this, I kind of tend to stick to professionally released versions if I have them. If I don't have a professionally released version, I only have a bootleg, and I'll listen to the bootleg version to kind of get the feel of what they were doing on tour. But this one does. This was from live with Milton Keynes on Fire at the Bowl. Click on that link and come back, and we'll talk about it, and we'll figure out where we are. All right, there you have it. And unsurprisingly, I'm going to sing praises on this for like most of the Hot Space album. The live versions tend to be better as far as band being tighter, more energetic, more rocking. Kind of they go away from like that kind of sparse sound and kind of bring it to a live, energetic concert feel. This is no different for sure. As the great George Lucas once said, faster and more intense. Much rockier arrangement. Roger's drums are so much more thunderous, using some of the more natural drum sound. John has some great rhythmic bass that leads up to Brian's solo, which Brian's guitar solo rips in a live performance. Freddie's energetic. He's brilliant. I mean, he's pretty energetic on the album too, but he's pretty much always energetic. But it does feel like when he gets in front of an audience, then it really takes it to the next level. The whole song, the whole band really kind of take the whole thing to a next level. It's kind of, I feel like the band wanted to put forth the Hot Space as this kind of album that was like kind of different, maybe a little bit closer to Another One Bites the Dust, as it were. But when you brought it in front of the live audience, they really kind of made those concessions Brian we're talking about, brought it to more of a rock concert feel, because that's what they're doing. They're doing a rock concert at that point. So I'm glad we have both versions, to be honest with you. It's nice to have both. But the live versions really where this band shines, especially with this material as far as I'm concerned. So let's get to it. Let's go right to it now. Let's gonna rate these versions from least favorite to my favorite to the crown jewel, what I consider to be the crown jewel, which is going to go into my ultimate playlists that I'm making up as we go along, which you can find on Spotify under Crown Jewels. Let's go from least to greatest. We got the altered version. That's my least favorite, obviously. If for nothing else, because of sound quality. If I had a quality version, I might have slid it up over the demo, perhaps, maybe even higher up. I don't know. Maybe even higher up than the single or album, or who knows where it would be. But because of the sound quality, it's hard to do anything else. You got the Greg Brooks talking over it. Not a whole lot different as it is. So that's my least favorite one. The demo version is next. Again, a very interesting version, but again, as far as what we're trying to do here, ranking it, it's not a complete song. It's definitely kind of more of a marking space, marking time, some different ideas, but not a finished track. So you can't rate a non-finished track too high up, I would think. From there, I'm going to put the single version. The single version, again, crisper, not too bad. I think it's just underneath. Actually, to be honest with you, it's kind of hard. The single and album are really the same to me. Again, they're so different, so close to each other as far as timing goes. Maybe actually, on retrospect, thinking it ahead, I actually had in my list album version over single version. I'm going to switch that up. Put the album version next. For the single version, when I listen to it again, it is crisper, it is cleaner. I do like that sound of it. So, they're very close, and I can really take either one here, honestly speaking. If you slipped it up and said single first, then album, or then album and single, they both are about the same for me. I'm going to put the 12-inch extended version just over both the top of them. Again, because we got that extended guitar stuff. More Brian guitar is never a bad thing, and I get to hear that. I wish I had a better sounding quality version of it. I wish they would release this, maybe a 12-inch digital or CD version of the 12-inch singles. It'd be really nice to have that somewhere, because I do like the extra material in a very solid bass. But that's that. I think it's no surprise. I kind of didn't leave much room for doubt here. It's no surprise that my crown jewel is the On Fire at the Bowl. You're gonna find that repetitively throughout the entirety of the Hot Space album. If they played it on Fire at the Bowl, I'm probably gonna like that the version best, because it just feels like they took it to the next level when they got in front of an audience and got into that more of a rock arrangement for it. But that's my own personal opinion. I like the rock stuff. Hey, who knows? But yeah, so I'm gonna give that my crown jewel version, On Fire at the Bowl. That's what we're gonna go with back chat. Now let's rate this song on a scale of 1 to 11, because we always turn things up to 11 here at PLD Projects. We'll have to see if it does slide into my top 10 Queen-related tracks of all time. No, it doesn't. I'm going to give this one an 8.5 out of 11. It is a great track. It is probably one of my favorite tracks on the Hot Space album, especially given the fact that with the live version from On Fire at the Bowl, it's a solid rock and roll, rock kind of track. The bass is pounding. Freddie's got great vocals for it. For this kind of song, which is not my favorite album, we're going to go with an 8.5. Unfortunately for Backchat, all the songs in the top 10 related tracks of all time are all at 10.5 or 11. So not quite there. But that's going to do it for us this week, folks. Hope they'll be back next week. I'm not certain where, but hopefully you'll stick with me. It might take some weeks to get some things together. I'm trying to get to be more consistent again. I used to be every week. Hopefully I can get back to that. It's been a little bit tough, like I said before, but I appreciate all you guys watching, clicking on that link, liking, subscribing. You'll becoming patreon.com/PLD Projects, or joining the YouTube membership. Get these early. These go up as soon as I record them. So yeah, who knows? Maybe if you want to do that, that'd be great. If not, like, comment, share, all that stuff. Let's build a community here talking about Queen. I might do some other stuff on the channel eventually. I actually had a show called The One-Offs on my main channel called PLD Project, which was meant to serve as a I have a guest on. I talk about something that they love, and it's supposed to be a music, book, movie, TV kind of thing. But the first three episodes I did were all music related. I kind of had to cut off for scheduling purposes there too. But I might want to go back to it, maybe to make it a music only show. Maybe rejigger the format just a smidge. We did some versions on Oasis, Billy Joel, and Van Halen with some great guests. Maybe I would do one for Queen, obviously, but maybe some other album or other bands as well. Could be fun. But we'll have to see how that goes. Next time here, though, on Crown Jewels, we will be discussing body language, and, well, that's the next track to talk about. And I'm going to tell you right now, folks, I am not a fan. So interesting to see what my crown jewel is for that, or would I eventually try to actually leave a song off for the first time. All right, guys, I will see you next time here on PLD Projects Crown Jewels. Take care, as always. Keep rocking. Don't give me no back.